Welcome to another video, and here's the thing, my brother. When you hear, you who are awakened, when you hear about socialism, communism, what do you think that is? Do you think it's an ideology, a way of governing, a government plan? If you think that way, my brother, let me tell you, it was never just an ideology or a proposal. It's one of Satan's tools. Look, if you look at Genesis, you who are a Christian, it was determined that from the moment man sinned, when man sinned, he would live by the sweat of his brow. See how strong that is? Man will live by the sweat of his brow. He will work the land, nothing will be easy, he will have to struggle to survive. Socialism and communism don't see it that way. They want those who produce, who sweat, to support those who don't want to sweat. And if you are a friend of the king, my brother, then you're really in a good spot. Socialism and communism, they don't just want to be a political program. They want to take the place of God himself. It's no wonder you see countries like that one with the little red dragon persecuting churches, pastors, priests. Why? Because they want to take God's place. There's no room in socialist communism for the Holy Scriptures or God's laws. There isn't. Absolutely not. And several curses fall upon the peoples who accept this. If you take a look at the history of Nicaragua, if you look at the more recent stories, 2022, 23, 24, 2026, you'll see that it happens over and over again. There have been strong earthquakes over there. And then they'll talk about tectonic plates, that it's the ring of fire and all that, how the plates meet there. But look how interesting too. Take a look at this garden here. Look, just this one. Garden, right? That they have there in, let's say, in the White House of Nicaragua, right? Where the president lives there, in their highlands. They made a garden with a pentagram. The pentagram, my brother, which is used by Satanists for demonic invocations. You summon demons through that. If you do a search now on Google using AI, it will say that this has nothing to do with Satanism. Yeah, it's an esoteric thing. It's everything but what it really is. Nowadays, you know there are other groups here that are protected by law, right? Sects that are protected by law and want to be recognized as religions. There are entities there that you use to destroy your enemy, to make someone get sick, to make someone die. And then, depending on what you want, blood sacrifices, etc. are made. But if you say the entity is demonic, you'd get arrested nowadays? I myself can't say that here on YouTube, because I could lose my channel or I could get sued. So that's the level we are at nowadays. The pentagram is the star of Baphomet. It's his hoof, right? Of the goat-headed one. And it was always used, even by Solomon, right? According to the books, the Key of Solomon, for the invocation of demons. According to Solomon's belief, right? From the moment you make the circle there, the devil is summoned through that, but he stays trapped. The series Supernatural, for example, was responsible for thousands of people getting this symbol tattooed. Let me ask you, is the Brazilian Northeast, where I live, close to the United States? And you say, are you crazy, Davi? It's not. That's right, my brother. But there were people here who, influenced by the series, started getting tattoos or buying these symbols, even from Mercado Libre, to start wearing them as necklaces. They learned from the series that those things would repel the demon, but in reality, they actually invoke the demon onto their own bodies. And these people know that. In fact, they even put it here, right? Like Ortega's wife, she put it there in the garden, right? Of the President of the Republic. The media treats this, right? As if it were just the wife's thing. But obviously, it's not. It's the religion they follow, Satanism. Then some people say, but Davi, is it fair for the people to suffer because the leaders do this? Yes. Yes, brother, it's always been that way. Because the people are complicit in this. The people approve of this. They do nothing and just accept things as they are. This has been spreading, my brother, all over the world. Look, this article here, it's from August 13, 2026. It's very recent, see? A 5.5 magnitude earthquake hit cities in El Salvador and is felt in 2 neighboring countries. The earth today is going through birth pangs. Exactly as the Holy Bible warned us it would be. When the pains began, the earth would be like a woman in labor. If you've seen it, you know. Sometimes she's just fine, then suddenly she feels a terrible pain, right? That's a sign the child is about to be born. So the earth is showing all these signs all the time. Right now, right? Going back now to August 18, 2026, when I'm making this video, I want you to see the article published by the Rotten Network. Was it by the Rotten Network, my god, or was it by G1O? It's all the same group, right? Let me find it. Here it is, family. Look. Let's look together. I'll put it on that little screen because of copyright, okay? Let me move the screen down here, otherwise. There, here it is. The important part is the info, right? I'll fix it now. Done, family. There we go. Now it's a bit better. Listen to what's happening in Spain right now, at this moment.
International news, we are following different topics, what comes from the Philippines, from Colombia, the war in the Middle East. But I'll start with you, Felipe. Thank you, got it. The war in the Middle East. But I'll start by telling you about
It's interesting that she says that, isn't it? The world, literally, my brothers, just as the Bible described it would be, right? Nation against nation, father against son, people loving themselves, right? Plagues, famine, and there it is, right? The earth itself giving signs, see?
Yes, this morning, an earthquake in Spain, in the city of Granada, which is further south in the country. The magnitude of this earthquake, and I'll show you here exactly where this region of Granada is. By the way, in this region, we've already been following problems with fires and wildfires. Exactly here, further south in the country.
Isn't it funny, family? Look over there. It was just recently, right? They opened the borders there, created a law that if a person arrives, they can't be deported. So there was that whole Moroccan invasion, right? Now look what's happening there.
Spain, the capital, Madrid, this is the center. And then when we look down here to the south, we get to this region, which is where Granada is, magnitude 4.9. So far, the information is that 3 people were injured and there are no confirmed deaths. So despite the distress news like this causes, it's a relief that we have the information that no one lost their life.
What do you think, family? What is that about? Spain has always been, you know, Christian. So I ask you, did that Moroccan invasion please or displease God? Think about it, my brother. If everyone was meant to live together, would there be so many languages or this separation between continents? Do you think that if everyone was really meant to live together, there would be all this division in the world? People don't think about that, my brother. So just a few days ago, right, they purposely filled the country with Moroccans and now the land is starting to grow over there. Coincidence? For those who don't believe in the spiritual realm, definitely.
3 people have been injured so far. In fact, some images from the city show destroyed cars and also buildings that have been damaged. Here's the report, and you can already see lots of bricks from the damaged buildings, with some of that debris falling onto vehicles parked on the streets. The tremor also seems to have knocked down tree branches.
The other one, the one in Nicaragua, right, was 5.5 and this one is 4.9, right? Much bigger.
A magnitude 5 earthquake hit on Saturday, damaging cars and houses. Authorities declared a state of emergency after the first earthquake, which happened over the weekend, and now we have reports of another earthquake. This time here, further south in the country, in the Granada region, which is closer to the Alborán Sea. Besides that, let me tell you about another country that speaks the same language but is on a different continent. Let's talk about Colombia, because we still have updates about the earthquake in Colombia, everyone. Colombian territory is showing up here on the screen for you. Now, with the satellite image showing up, there are a lot of clouds, right? A lot of cloudiness. But the clouds, judging by how things are going in the image, are moving towards the ocean. Well, the worst areas, and we've already told you about them, are located here in this part of Colombia. Colombia is right here. Look, this whole region goes up north, also down here to the south, and it borders Venezuela, Ecuador, and our own Brazil as well. Cali, this city. Residents of the city of Cali held a vigil in honor of the victims of the earthquake that struck the country last week. So far, the information we have is that more than 280 people have died, but there are still people missing. The quake, as we've already told you, had a magnitude of 7.4 and brought down buildings in several parts of the country, as I showed you in the image. Let me move this chair out of the way so it doesn't block your view. And here, prayers, vigils, and a lot of sadness, right?
You know what the problem is, my brothers? Is that people only remember God when something like this happens, right? We showed it when the other one happened, if I'm not mistaken, in Venezuela. There's the video, right? People were celebrating satanic entities. My brothers, what's happening right now is very serious. It's a very serious matter. There has never been this kind of mass exodus all at once, right? On checks excellent side, as we're seeing now. And it's not just about actions and so on. It's the behavior itself, the actual decisions that are being made mainly by the leaders and with the complicity of the population. You see how our country is, but there are several projects that the PT is implementing now, right? Giving with one hand and taking away with a shovel, and the people are applauding. Yeah, I've mentioned this to you guys, and I see that a lot of people get upset actually. No, but it's great, but that's good. It really has to be done. They don't get that nothing is truly free, right? This program we mentioned in the other video, I think it's Avança Brasil, right? Where the federal government intends to finance cars and motorcycles for people who work with that with very low interest rates. But then you ask, if the country is already closing with a fiscal deficit, where is it going to get this money to subsidize? They are giving a 2-month deadline and lowering the interest rate. Did they reach an agreement with the finance companies so that they would cover this? No. The government is supposed to cover it, but if there's no money and they're already short on basics, how can that work? And the result, my brother, is simple. The answer is simple, it's straightforward. It will decrease your purchasing power. Your currency will buy less and less. I was watching a lady, she recorded a video, I'm not going to put it here guys because she's another YouTuber, there's no need, right? And she bought a motorcycle. She made her dream come true, she's from Maranhão, and she was super happy with the motorcycle. And then she was asking, you know, for contributions from her subscribers to change the motorcycle's tire. The motorcycle was all messed up. She bought something she can't afford to maintain. So asking for donations to buy a tire for the motorcycle. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, but that's what will happen on a large scale. If the guy couldn't even buy a brand new vehicle, do you think he'll be able to maintain the tires with the prices the way they are? An engine overhaul with these prices? Man, what's being done is surreal, but people just don't care. And these programs end up getting a lot of votes. Meanwhile, if you watched our morning video, what are the proposals for? If you haven't seen it, watch the video. They will now take over the properties that are idle. So if you have a dispute in court, right, you are one of the heirs of something, the building has been there for 3 or 4 years, the house, whatever it is, the warehouse, is been in court for 4 years, sometimes it takes 10 years. City Hall can just say, this isn't serving a social function, so we'll take it. And that's exactly what happens. If you're going through a financial crisis, right? You had a little shop there, you left it, it's closed, you're trying to recover, to reopen it. It's been years now. You could lose the property now, my brother. Because that's the price of a free lunch. It comes with a lot of curses, my brother. Communist socialism, it comes with a lot of curse because it's a tool of Satan. It contradicts the biblical order. Man will live by the sweat of his brow. And that's why, my brother, because of these decisions, literally, the end of the world is being brought forward. That's clear. Who would have thought that one day we would report something like this? A first lady drawing a satanic pentagram, summoning the devil at the center of the country's power. And then it happens. We start. And we keep going down the same path. We've already explained what that PT star, for example, means. We're going down the same path. They've always been enemies of God. And people aren't understanding. So there will be many punishments. You can be sure of that. If we were to talk only about these disasters happening around the globe, and it's no use saying, oh, it's always been like this. But disasters of this magnitude, one after another, happening simultaneously, that's never happened before. Anyone who says there was is lying. I've been doing this work for 12 years now. That didn't exist. And it's going to intensify, my brothers. Because if we're right that this is the beginning of sorrows, get ready, because this is just the beginning. What are we going to do? Pray. Get on our knees, my brothers. And ask God, right? Because things are really serious. I will stop here. I thank each of you. Leave your comment and your opinion. What would you do if this happened in Brazil, my brother? What do you think of a nation that sees nothing wrong with the symbol of the goat at the center of the country's power? It's outrageous. Hugs. I'm out.